Welcome dear students of class 9 to the Beehive lesson, third, the little girl. So before you read, you feel you know your parents better now. Huh? Parents, daily activity with the parents. And now in the lockdown period, you are much more not going to school, so all the time interacting with your parents, so you know very well what you do. So then, when you were much younger, now you know better than when you were younger, in the sense. Perhaps you now understand the reasons for some of their actions used to upset you earlier. When you grow up, you understand. Okay, when I was small or when I was younger, my parents used to scold me. But then when you grow up, you later on you come to know that they must have done it for particular reason. They must have, wanting me to do a particular way, a certain thing, and therefore I was, reprimanded or punished or even said rash words or talked rudely by them. So that you come to know afterwards, when you're small, compare some of the events you must have experienced with the parents, and then you will come to know that yes, because of this thing they must have told me, but at that time you felt very bad. What happened, why my parents are so angry and why I am being scolded all the time, small matters and all that. You fret over these matters, after this as a time when you are young, but when you grow up, the same thing is feeling you or giving you comfort. Why? Because your parents are the only people who are concerned about you, who wants to teach you good things, who wants to make you your life in a proper way, go in a proper way, and therefore they must have scolded you or behaved rudely with you. But that strikes you late when you are grown up, not at time when you are young. You feel bad at the time. That is the thing that happens in the character, with the character, the little girl, in this particular lesson that we'll see in the coming lines. This story about a little girl who's feeling for a father change from fear to understanding him, probably find to echo in every home. The writer very nicely says that it is because of this, Catherine Mansfield says that it is the general atmosphere or general experience of her when she sees in the various households, the children and the parents, many times they have problems with the generation gap, we say, and they don't understand the children, or rather the children don't understand, and that misunderstanding takes place, and therefore at that time there is this problem which is very well portrayed by the writer in this lesson. So going through the lines of it, you got the idea of what the lesson is about. The misunderstanding and the father and the daughter is having, that how it is at the end, set right is given in the lesson. To the little girl, he was a figure to be feared and avoided. Small girl and a big father is is scolding and all the time having a fearful face of tension and all that, because of some job related tension or any other domestic tension which he shows in his face, and he's a big. When you're small, young child, you feel that your father is very big, and you want to avoid him, fearing. Sometimes he's using really strong words or harsh words, or his language might be such that you fear. Every morning before going to work, he came into her room and gave her a casual kiss, to which she responded with, "Goodbye, father." So that way, initially, the father and daughter's relation is good. And oh, there was a glad sense of relief when she heard the noise of the carriage growing fainter and fainter down the long road. So he was going in a carriage. So it's an old story. So he must be going in a carriage, and then carriage, the sound goes as it goes away or moves ahead. Then we don't. The sound goes fainter and fainter until we stop hearing it. That process of sound is explained away when sometimes it give the daughter, this girl, a relief. Why? Because maybe sometimes it been harsh to her, should anger or like that, and therefore she must be feeling relieved. Yes, father has gone. Many of you do this, right? The girls and small boys in particular. Yes, father is gone. Yes. So whenever you see the vehicle moving away from the house and the sound of the vehicle fainting, at that time you have a sigh of relief. Wow, father is gone. Now we can do what we want. Huh? In the evening, when he came back, she stood near the staircase and heard his loud voice in the hall. Near the staircase, from the floor, you would come and see, yes, near the staircase, you can see the staircase. She would stand there, and when he is coming, he would, she would, hear a loud sound of his. Bring my tea into the drawing room. Hasn't the paper come yet? Mother, go and see if my paper is out there and bring me my slippers. In the office, whatever has happened, he returns back, and at that time he wants all this thing ready. You must have experienced your father, coming from outside and then asking that I want this and that ready when I come. Otherwise he shouts if it's not there in the place to your mother, or like that. It happens. Kezia, mother will call to her, if you are a good girl, you can come down and take off father's boots. Take off the boots. Slowly the girl would slip down the stairs, slowly moving still across the hall, and push open the drawing room door. She enters. By what time? At that time, he had his spectacles and on, and looked at her over them in a way that was terrifying to the little girl. So he was wearing the spectacles and looking at her. At that time, the little girl feels very, terrified means frightened. Well, Kezia, hurrying up and pull off these boots and take them outside. Have you been a good girl today? Have you been a good girl? You're not played mischief or got naughty and misbehaved with the family members of our house. I don't know, father. I don't. This is fearing. The sound, when you can't speak fluently or in a normal talk, you cannot do. Then it happens when you are fearing. You don't know. You stutter like that. Your mother will take you to a doctor. Stuttering, when you speak in this particular way, repeating the syllables, initial syllables, and not able to speak the whole word at one time, then you stutter. Sometimes the stuttering is because, and the father knows she's stuttering because what reason? She's fearing, but he doesn't have the idea. He has come from outside, and maybe that is on his mind, and he doesn't understand the girl properly, maybe. And that is why saying that if you stutter like this, and I'll tell your mother to take you to the doctor. She never stuttered with other people, had quite given it up, but only with father, because then she was trying too hard to say the words properly. With other people she is speaking normally, but with you, when father, the writer says with father, when she talked and she started stuttering. What's the matter? What are you looking so wretched about, mother? I wish you taught this child not to appear on the brink of suicide. So Daruya is as if she wants to do suicide, on the brink of suicide means on the verge of doing something. ऐसा move, ऐसा behavior. What has happened? Here, Kezia, carry my teacup back to the table carefully. So another order is also given, teacups to be taken away. He was so big, his hands and his neck, especially his mouth when he yawned. Thinking about him alone was like thinking about a giant. His father is seen as a giant by the girl. Coming to the fourth para. On Sunday afternoons, grandmother sent her down to the drawing room to have a nice talk with father and mother. But the little girl always found mother reading and father stretched out on the sofa. It's given in the picture. His handkerchiefs on his face, his feet on one of the best cushions, sleeping soundly and snoring. Snoring is a sound made when you sleep, deep sleep, and that sound comes out when then that snoring. So that the picture of this father reclining on the sofa, and also the mother reading the newspaper. So that thing is described by the little girl. The little girl always found mother reading and father stretched out on the sofa. Below the picture also the same thing is narrated. She sat on the stool gravely means seriously, watched him until she woke and stretched and asked the time, then looked at her, watching to the watch, and then, don't stare so, Kezia. You look like a little brown owl. उल्लू जैसे लग रही है, ऐसे मत देख. One day, when she was kept indoors with a cold, her grandmother told her that father's birthday was next week. Information दी जाती है ना by grandmother, okay, that is father's birthday, and suggested, क्या करेगी उस दिन तू बनाएगी, सलाह देती हूँ तेरे को, she should make him a pin cushion for a gift of a beautiful piece of yellow silk. येलो सिल्क से बना हुआ पिन कुशन, जिसमें पिन भर होते हैं ना टेबल पे, ऐसा छोटा ऐसा बाउल जैसा होता है जिसमें ना पिन कुशन बोलते हैं. वी कैन पुट पिन्स इन दैट, सो द पिन्स विल नॉट scatter here and there, but it will stay in that particular place. Moving to fifth para, laboriously. Labor, L-A-B-O-U-R, labor. It's English of US, right? That is L-A-B-O-R. You know the difference between English of US and UK. There's difference. Many words are considered differently by both the languages, and then that is why you get option separate, and even when you use languages you choose from mobile or like that, or other communication devices where you want to choose this English language, you are given option whether to you want to use US English or the England English, right? The London English. So that time you have to be careful. We as a English learners, we study the UK language and not US language, and therefore United Kingdom, whatever language of original British language was there. If you know the history of this English, the English people discovered America, and when America became independent from this British colony, they decided that they will have their own English, little bit changed from, will not follow exactly the British, and therefore with this type of mentality, they have used certain words which are typically of US language, and there is a big debate about it, and many things are related to that is given in higher standards of English. But here laboriously you can see, someone will say that LABOUR, and why LOR is wrong spelling? No, spelling is not wrong, but the US English is used over here, so LABOR instead of UR. U is avoided, the vowel. Laboriously with a double cotton, the little girl stitched 3 sides. 3 sides को आप cushion होता है तो सी देते हैं, उसके बाद one part is kept open so that you can stuff what things, soft things you want to stuff in that. So the but she decides, what I would stuff in this, but what to fill it with, that was the question. The grandmother was out in the garden, and she wandered into the mother's bedroom to look for scraps. On the bed table, she discovered a great many sheets of fine paper, gathered from up, tore them into tiny pieces and stuffed her case, then sewed up the 4th side. Pack kar diya the cushion. The 4th side, which was open, through which she stuffed all the pieces of paper in it, and then she was able to use it as make it as a pin cushion for giving as a birthday gift to her father. That night there was a hue and cry in the house. Hue and cry is an idiomatic phrase. It says angry protest. Hue and cry means angrily some people are shouting and all that. Father's great speech for the Port Authority had been lost. स्पीच अथॉरिटी जहाँ पे वर्क करते थे वहाँ पे ना वो जो स्पीच देने वाले थे, that particular paper that's stuff, that means. Rooms were searched, servants questioned. Finally, mother came into Kezia's room. Kezia, I suppose you didn't see some papers on the table in our room? Oh yes, she said. I tore them for my surprise. My surprise means what? The birthday gift which I was preparing. For that I needed pieces of paper, and I tore the paper and stuffed it into the pincushion. What? Screamed mother. Come straight down to the dining room this instant. Abhi kabhi niche aao to the dining room. And she was dragged down to there where father was pacing to and fro, dragging her, taking her to the father, pacing to and fro. He was pacing. कहाँ गया मेरा paper and all that. Hands behind his back. Tension में घूम रहा है कि where is my paper which I had written for my sports speech. Mother explained. He stopped and stared at the girl. Did you do that? No, she whispered. Mother, go up to her room and fetch some of the damn thing. See that the child's put to bed this instant. Damn means blasted, said. No, crying too much to explain. She lay in the shadowed room watching the evening light make a sad little pattern on the floor. Sad little pattern, doodling or like that she did. She was being scolded by the father and all that. Then father came into the room with a ruler in his hands. Stick, ruler he brought and decided, I'm going to beat you for this, he said. Oh no, she screamed, hiding under the bed clothes. Bed में जो cloth था उसमें ना cover कर दिया. He pulled them aside. So angry he was, so angry. Sit up, he ordered, and hold out your hands. You must be taught once and for all not to touch what does not belong to you. Why you are touching things which are not belonging to you? You should mind your own things. But it was for your birthday. I wanted to prepare things for the birthday. For that I have used it. Down came the ruler on her little pink palms. On the palms he was hit. So what happens after this particular action? We will see from this climax in the next class of our English. Till then, you revise it and we'll continue in the next period.